Welcome and thank you for standing by. Currently, all participants are in listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'd like to turn the call over to your host for today, Jewel Jordan.
Thank you, Lisa. And good afternoon, and welcome to the 2023 American Community Survey one-year pre-release webinar. Today's webinar is focused on helping you prepare for the release of the 2023 ACS one-year data products. Before I proceed, I'd like to say a special thank you to our American Community Survey respondents for their participation in the survey. Without them, we would not have these data, which are so important for America's communities. Before we get started, I wanted to remind everyone of where you can find resources for this upcoming release. Today's slides are currently posted in the 2023 ACS one-year estimates press kit. We'll also be posting a recording of the webinar there if you'd like to refer back to it. If you are in need of closed captioning, please be sure to click on the CC button in the lower left corner of the WebEx window. You can also click on the three dots on the lower right corner and select Captions. During the course of the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A feature to ask questions. We have subject experts on standby that are ready to answer them. We will also have a verbal Q&A session after our presentation on the ACS to ensure all of your questions are answered. If you're unable to ask your question or have additional questions after the webinar, please send them to the Public Information Office via email at pio@census.gov or by phone at 301-763-3030. My name is Jewel Jordan. I'm a public affairs specialist with the Census Bureau's Public Information Office. Our presenter today is Caleb Hopler, a supervisory survey statistician with the American Community Survey Office. I will now turn it over to Caleb, who will provide you with information about the American Community Survey.
Thank you, Jewel. I want to outline what we'll be covering today. First, I'm going to talk about next week's 2023 American Community Survey, or ACS, one-year release. Then I'll briefly cover some ACS basics for those who might be new to the survey or for those who want a bit of a brief refresher. Next, I'll go over updates specific to the 2023 one-year release, such as geography changes and table changes. And then I'll go over some resources for learning more and ways to stay in touch with the ACS community. I'll finish up with sharing the overall 2023 ACS data release schedule to showcase what will be published at later dates. After that, we will have our Q&A, and we'll invite you to fill out an evaluation for today's webinar. So let's start with our upcoming releases. Next Tuesday, September 10th, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the 2023 ACS one-year data will be available for media embargo ahead of the public release next Thursday. These estimates cover the calendar year 2023 for all geographic areas with population 65,000 and above. All products on data.census.gov will be available through our embargo site, as well as an embargoed copy of the press kit containing the news releases and a few America Counts stories. Please visit the press kit link provided on this slide to find the one-year data products that will be available for media. Our public release will be Thursday, September 12th. The embargo period will lift at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. All one-year products, such as the data profiles and detailed tables and existing tools like data.census.gov, my congressional district, and the API will be updated with the new one-year data. They will also be available to the public by 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on release day. We'll also have additional briefs and data visualizations available. I also want to point out that next week on Tuesday, September 10th, the Current Population Survey Annual Social and Economic Supplement, or CPS ASEC, will release its 2023 income, poverty, and health insurance estimates. Please note that the ACS and CPS ASEC are different surveys, and the methods and how they are conducted also differ. But their overlapping data topics do tend to have similar trends over time. So because of that, we recommend using CPS ASEC estimates when using data at the national level. For estimates below the national level, we recommend using the ACS estimates. And I want to switch gears and dive into the basics of the ACS. This information will be a great overview or refresher on the foundations of the ACS. So the American Community Survey, or ACS, is the premier source of detailed information about the nation's people and housing. The survey samples approximately 3.5 million addresses each year. These data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, economic, housing, and demographic estimates for communities throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. The estimates cover more than 40 topics. The ACS collects this detailed information each year that was previously collected by the decennial census each decade. Information from the ACS generates data that will help inform how trillions of dollars in federal funds are distributed each year, supporting more than 300 known federal uses and countless non-federal uses. ACS data are timely because they are released the year immediately following the year in which they were collected. The ACS creates period estimates, which means they represent the characteristics of the population and housing over a specific data collection period. The ACS releases estimates for 1 year and 5-year periods. After years of extensive testing, the ACS was fully implemented in 2005. The first ACS 1-year estimates were collected in 2005 and released in 2006. The first 5-year ACS estimates were collected between 2005 and 2009 and then released in 2010. The content collected by the ACS can be grouped into 4 main types of characteristics: social, demographic, economic, and housing. Social characteristics include topics such as educational attainment, language spoken at home, and veteran status. The ACS also collects basic demographic characteristics like age, Hispanic origin, race, and sex. Economic characteristics include topics like commuting to work, employment status, and income. Housing characteristics include topics such as housing costs, which include mortgage, rent, taxes, and insurance. Tenure, which is owner or renter, and vehicles available. These topics are used to produce more than 1,000 tables for local communities each year, and they power countless news stories every day. We want to spend some time and send special thanks to our media partners for powering their stories with ACS data. In addition to the 40+ topics covered on the ACS, another strength of the survey is the number of geographies available, from the national level all the way to your local community. Our survey provides data for more geographies on an annual basis than any other household survey. There are more than 13,800 geographic areas included in the 2023 1-year release. These geographies consist of areas with a population of 65,000 or more and include estimates at the national level, all states, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico, all metropolitan areas, all U.S. congressional districts, and other geographic areas with a population of 65,000 or more. If you are new to the ACS or want more in-depth information on ACS resources, my colleague recently presented an introductory webinar on the ACS. Slides are available now or will be available soon with the recording of the webinar and posted at the top link on the bottom of this slide. We also have for you here 4 modules posted in Census Academy course titled Discovering the American Community Survey. The comprehensive course is designed for all kinds of data users and those who need to understand and access the fundamentals of the ACS to use our data. The modules currently released include an introduction to the ACS, geography in the ACS, mastering the variety of ACS data products, navigating releases, tables, and profiles, and finally, guidance for ACS data users. Additional modules are coming soon. So let's switch gears now. from the basics and let's talk about changes for the 2023 ACS one-year release regarding updates, table changes, and more. Starting with geography changes. Each year, there are updates to various geographic areas across the country. These changes may occur for various reasons, such as annexation, disincorporation, and geocoding updates. This can reduce the comparability of some geographic areas across years, but it ensures that the most recent versions of geographic areas are used in our tabulation process. We have two geography changes coming in this release. First, the 2023 ACS data products for core-based statistical areas, or CBSAs, also referred to as metropolitan and micropolitan statistical areas, are based on post-2020 census revised delineations published by the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, on July 21st, 2023. There are 935 CBSAs in the 2023 delineation. The majority of these CBSAs retained the same codes from the pre-2020 delineations, while some were allocated new codes due to new delineations or name changes. Some of the CBSAs that retained the same codes featured one or more geographic changes, like an increase or a decrease in area. You can access a 2020 to 2023 CBSA relationship file using the top link on the bottom of this slide. Our second change for the 2023 ACS release include updates to the New England city and town areas, or NECTAs. Also, the NECTA divisions, principal city indicator NECTAs, or PCI NECTAs, and combined NECTAs. These have been discontinued in the 2023 ACS data products. There will be a user note discussing this in detail that will be released on September 12th. If you're interested in learning more about the latest available geographic boundaries, the Geography Boundaries by Year webpage is a useful resource. It contains a list of geographic areas such as counties or tracts and the vintage they use for each year of the survey. You can also learn about planned updates. So for example, the Census Bureau highlighted its plan in the 2022 Geography Boundaries by Year webpage to discontinue the NECTA geography, or the New England city and town area geography, starting with the 2023 data release that I just mentioned. So referring to these pages can give you insight into planned updates for geographies. Finally, I want to touch on population controls in the ACS for the 2023 data release season. ACS data are controlled so that the number of housing units and people in certain categories are consistent with the Census Bureau's official estimates from the Population Estimates Program. After the 2020 census, we plan to use intercensal estimates as controls. So intercensal estimates are produced once a decade when both the beginning and ending populations are known. In this case, that would be the 2010 census and the 2020 census. Due to delays in the 2020 census processing, the 2010 to 2020 intercensal estimates have been delayed from 2021 to 2024. Therefore, the population controls for the 2023 ACS one-year data product will not be fully informed by the 2020 census. The 2023 ACS data product will use the vintage 2023 blended base population estimates that incorporate the 2020 census, vintage 2020 population estimates, and the 2020 demographic analysis, or DA. And the blended base at the national level, then it is accurate to say that resident, household, and group quarters, or GQ population, these totals are derived from the 2020 census. Age and sex detail is drawn from the 2020 DA. Race detail comes from vintage 2020, and Hispanic origin detail comes from the 2020 census. Now let's transition to discussing table changes. This year we have 3 new race tables and 10 new detailed tables covering housing topics. Based on feedback from tribal leaders through consultation, we have discontinued the use of tribal groupings. Tribal groupings refer to the combining of individual American Indian, Alaska Native tribes and villages. Instead, we are now providing data on specific American Indian, Alaska Native tribes and villages. New tables B02020 and C02020 provide data for American Indian and Alaska Native alone by selected tribes and villages, while table B02021 shows data for these populations alone or in any combination by selected tribes and villages. These tables are replacing tables B02014, C02014, and B02017, which I will highlight on an upcoming slide. New housing tables B25140A through B25140I show housing cost as a percentage of household income in the past 12 months, iterated by race and Hispanic origin of the householder. These tables complement B25140, which were added last year to show these estimates for the total population. We've also added housing table B25141, homeowners insurance costs by mortgage status. We also had modifications to tables for a variety of topics, and we'll use these next 2 slides to highlight some of these changes. Code ranges were added to road labels for occupation tables B24010 and B24020. The updated labels make these unique groupings more readily transparent for data users. Industry tables were also updated to accommodate the latest revision to the North American Industry Classification System, or NAICS. A few examples of these modified tables are listed here in the industry section of this slide. The NAICS is the standard used by federal statistical agencies in classifying business establishment. And these changes included new industry descriptions as well as new, modified, and deleted categories. New American Indian and Alaska Native groups replaced American Indian and Alaska Native groups previously included in CP05 and DP05. A set of columns for workers who work from home was added to S0802 and S0804. In addition to modified tables, we'd also like to note that we made significant modifications to table notes for tables across all topics. So for example, many notes that referred to older data years that were no longer relevant to the tables were deleted. Table notes that apply to all tables, such as those comparing data and geographic boundaries, were updated to provide links to more complete and evergreen documentation. As previously mentioned a few slides back, based on feedback from tribal leaders through consultation, we have discontinued the use of tribal groupings. And again, tribal groupings refer to the combining of individual American Indian and Alaska Native tribes and villages. Instead, we are now providing data on specific American Indian, Alaska Native tribes and villages. So we removed race tables B02014, C02014, and B02017, which provided data for American Indian and Alaska Native tribal groupings. These tables were replaced with the new tables that I mentioned earlier, the B02020, C02020, and B02021. And these provide data for detailed American Indian and Alaska Native tribes and villages. The tables that we covered here today are only a sample of all the changes. So for the complete list of all new, modified, and deleted tables, please see the link on this slide. As I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, the ACS provides estimates which highlight the strength of the ACS, and that is estimating characteristic distributions. The Census Bureau recommends that users compare population characteristics such as percent, means, medians, and rates rather than estimates of population totals. Now, if you are looking for population totals, we recommend using the decennial census or population estimates program. In general, the Census Bureau recommends that you do compare similar period lengths. So, for example, 1 year to 1 year, or compare 5 year to 5 year. Don't recommend comparing estimates from different period lengths. For example, don't compare 1 year to 5 year estimates. It is also important to keep in mind that all ACS data are estimates. So we collect data from a sample of the population in the United States and Puerto Rico rather than from the whole population. And to help you interpret the reliability of the estimates, the Census Bureau publishes a margin of error, or MOE, for every ACS estimate. Unless you account for the MOEs, you cannot conclude that estimates are statistically different from one another. Instead, you'll need to conduct statistical testing when making comparisons between estimates to check for any of these differences. And looking at estimates alone to decide if they are higher or lower than one another is not sufficient. Feel free to compare across geographies and population subgroups using 2023 ACS data, but don't expect ACS estimates to match decennial census counts or estimates from other surveys. For example, don't expect ACS estimates to match CPS, income, poverty, and health insurance estimates. The comparison guidance page provides broad information about comparing ACS estimates across ACS years, as well as with the 2020 and 2010 census. From the page linked on the screen, you can find overall comparison guidance, yearly guidance on the comparison of data sets, and comparison guidance on specific topics and subjects. So for example, if you were interested in data about computer and internet use from 2023, you would select the year and then select the topic computer and internet use. From here, you can see that the Census Bureau recommends comparing the 2023 data and the 2022 data on this topic. Because ACS data are so far-reaching in the coverage by offering expansive geographic coverage, users may sometimes encounter tables or estimates that are suppressed or not available. Sometimes data are not available because the estimate does not meet the Census Bureau statistical quality standards. Other times, data are suppressed to protect respondent confidentiality. Finally, data anomalies may not be feasibly corrected before publication, which may result in table suppression. The data release rules exist to ensure that published data are of high quality and that they safeguard respondents from disclosure. With the 2023 ACS 1-year release, the new ACS data release rules, this brief will be published, which will describe the ACS data products released each year and describe the rules that are applied to determine whether ACS tabulated data products and estimates will be published. The brief will also provide guidance and strategies to data users about how to proceed in exploring other options when the ACS data that they seek are not available. The ACS data release rules include population thresholds, minimum unweighted case requirements, data quality filtering rules, geographic restrictions to ACS tables, and treatment for data anomalies. This brief will replace the 2016 version called ACS Data Suppression. The link on this slide currently shows the 2016 version of the document, but the 2024 version, now called ACS Data Release Rules, will be available soon. Before we move into our Q&A session, I want to take a moment to offer some helpful information available that's on our ACS website, which contains noteworthy pages related to this upcoming release. So first we have the ACS main page, which is a great tool to start with if you have any questions about the ACS. This page can be found by going to census.gov/ACS. And the ACS website contains a wealth of information about the survey, data products, tools for data users, and other helpful information. One such page is the News and Updates page. And the News and Updates tab will lead you to our data release schedules, new and notable documentation about what is to come in each release, as well as table and geography changes specific to each release. This page is broken out by year and updated throughout fall as new data products are released for the 1-year estimates, and it's also updated for the release of 5-year products, which will be released in December and January. Now, for users that have access to data but need more information to understand the tables and complete their analysis, we offer technical documentation in the form of code lists, subject definitions, group quarter definitions, accuracy of the data, instructions for implying statistical testing, comparison guidance, and more. Another popular resource within technical documentation is the table shells and table list page. Table shells display the layout of tables without the estimates or margins of error filled in. They contain the line number, description of the data, and table ID. For most data years, table shells for detailed tables are available in 2 different formats: individual table shell files and one file for all detailed tables. Table shells for other types of products may be available through the File Transfer Protocol site, or FTP, as you can link to on the bottom of the slide. The ACS table list contains columns with the table IDs, table titles, table universes, and 1-year or 5-year availability for all detailed tables, supplemental estimate tables, comparison profiles, data profiles, and subject tables in one spreadsheet. Under guidance for data users, we have our subjects included in the survey page. This page lists the different subjects or topics under the 4 broad characteristics I mentioned earlier: the social, housing, economic, and demographic. Each are linked to ACS tables on data.census.gov related to that topic. So for instance, choosing ancestry under social will bring you to the ACS data tables on ancestry in data.census.gov, which are the B04 tables. I'd like to highlight 2 different notes about using this page to be directed to the data on data.census.gov. First, the search results in data.census.gov will display 1-year and 5-year estimates for the nation from the most recent release. Second, when in data.census.gov, you can use the filters box on the very left or use the geos icon above a selected table to select the geography, such as a state, city, or place. And as a hint, which estimates appear, whether the 1-year or the 5-year estimates, will depend on the size of a chosen geography. If no geography is chosen, the geography defaults to the national level of the United States, and the estimates default to the 1-year estimates. On the next slide, I'll show you how to switch between the 1-year and 5-year estimates on data.census.gov. So the data table shown on this screen is one of our data profiles, DP02, selected social characteristics in the United States. And I pulled this from data.census.gov. When I searched for this table, I did not define a geography, so the table defaulted to the national level, or United States, and is using the latest 1-year estimates available. As of today's webinar, that would be the 2022 ACS 1-year estimates. Of course, next week, the 2023 ACS 1-year estimates will be available and will default as the latest 1-year estimates on data.census.gov. and for all data.census.gov ACS tables. Above the table, there is a row of icons with different options. Depending on the size of your device's screen, FYI, you may need to click on the double arrows, also known as the chevron, to the very right of that row to expand the options available. So to switch to 5-year estimates from the 1 year, you need to click the data set icon, and the data sets available for that table will appear. Simply choose the 1 year or 5-year data set available by year that you are interested in. Now, I want to point out some tables, such as data profiles, like what I have here on the screen, may have additional options, such as the selected population data profiles or American Indian Alaska Native data profiles. Please note also that some tables may only offer 1-year estimates, or they may only offer 5-year estimates only. Keep that in mind when you're trying to switch between. The new 1-year data will be available in data.census.gov, our application programming interface or API, and my congressional district. Data.census.gov is the Census Bureau's main data dissemination platform and is the primary way to access data from the American Community Survey, as well as 2020 census and much more. Data.census.gov allows users to filter searches through topics or geographies, to download data files, and create customized maps. It includes ACS data from 2010 to the present. And there are a variety of how-to materials, video tutorials, webinars, and FAQs to help you use data.census.gov. And I will link to that on an upcoming slide. In keeping with our modern era of information on the go, the Census Bureau has created an application programming interface, or API, for developers to utilize publicly available detailed ACS data in the development of web or mobile apps. The API contains multiple data sets, as well as data sets from our other censuses and programs. And formats available for these apps include HTML, XML, and JSON. The API includes ACS data from 2005 through the present. My congressional district, or commonly referred to as My CD, gives you quick and easy access to selected statistics from the American Community Survey and also County Business Patterns. County Business Patterns, or CBP, is an annual series that provides sub-national economic data by industry. And this series includes the number of establishments, employment, first quarter payroll, and annual payroll. So you would use this tool, My CD, for information on congressional districts, statistics on people, workers, housing, socioeconomics, education, and business. And you can also embed the MyCD application on your website for users to use. All data tools are available from census.gov. So choose the Data and Maps tab from the ribbon at the top of the screen when you are at census.gov, and then click on the Data Tools and Apps tab to view a comprehensive list of census tools and apps. And likewise, you can follow the link at the bottom of the slide. As previously mentioned, there are many resources for learning more. With data.census.gov resources, you can learn to effectively find demographic and economic data from the U.S. Census Bureau's main data search platform, data.census.gov, but as well as microdata access, or MDAT for short, or the Census Bureau data API. We also have as a resource Census Academy, which is your learning hub for data skills. Here you can learn how to access and use Census Bureau data your way through our how-to data gem videos and in-depth courses, webinars, and tutorials. One such course is the ACS course. This is a comprehensive guide to survey information, data access, analysis, and statistics for America's largest survey. The ACS handbooks provide specific how-to instructions and our case studies for using the ACS with each of the downloadable handbooks customized for different user groups. So now let's take a brief look at the rest of the 2023 ACS data releases. Our next release is October 17th with the 2023 one-year public use microdata sample, or PUMS files. The ACS PUMS files are a set of untabulated records about individual people or housing units. PUMS data are made available to data users at the nation, region, state, and public use microdata areas, or PUMA, levels of geography. PUMAs are non-overlapping geographies which contain at least 100,000 people. These files allow data users to create custom tables that are not available through pre-tabulated ACS data products. PUMS data can be found on the Census Bureau FTP server, through the API, or through the microdata tool available on data.census.gov, commonly referred to as MDAT. On this day, we will also release our 2023 ACS one-year supplemental estimates, which will encompass geographies with populations of 20,000 or more. On January 7th, 2025, we will release retabulated data profiles from the 2023 ACS one-year estimates for the 119th Congress. This is due to redistricting for the 119th Congress, and 5 states will see updated congressional district boundaries and new estimates. That is Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, New York, and North Carolina. Only the 2023 ACS one-year data profiles will be retabulated with the 119th congressional districts. For our 5-year release on December 12th, the 5-year estimates will be embargoed to the media on December 10th, with the public release to follow on December 12th. These data will cover the time period of 2019 to 2023, making up the 5-year estimates. And these estimates will cover all geographic areas, regardless of population size, down to the block group level. Also be aware that we will conduct a 5-year pre-release webinar before these data are released. The 2019 to 2023 5-year ACS PUMS files will be released on January 23rd, along with the 5-year variance replicate estimate tables. Now, the variance replicate estimate tables allow data users to calculate margins of error, which include the covariance term when combining ACS estimates within a table or between geographies. These can be found on the ACS website. I'll now turn the presentation back over to Jules so we can begin the question and answer session before we wrap up the webinar today. Jules, it's all yours.
Thank you, Caleb. Now we'll begin taking questions. To ask a question, use the raise hand feature and we'll call on you in the order in which hands were raised. When you ask your question, please state your name and affiliation. And because we want to give everyone an opportunity to ask their questions, we'll allow just one question and one follow-up per caller. If you're unable to have your question answered during the session, please reach out to the Public Information Office either by email at pio@census.gov or by phone at 301-763-3030. As we wait for questions to come in, we'd like to invite you to stay in touch with us. One way is by telling us how you use data from the American Community Survey. Have you or your organization used the ACS to make an important decision, help your community, or expand your business? If so, please share your story to let us know and explore how data enthusiasts across the country are using ACS data in creative ways. Doing so provides further support for the importance of the data we collect here at the Census Bureau, and it is a great way to further promote our data. Also, consider joining a group we have specifically for users of ACS data, known simply as the ACS Data Users Group. The group includes a website and online community of over 5,500 members where you can share messages, materials, and announcements related to the survey. Membership is free and open to all interested ACS data users. Finally, you can sign up for and manage email updates from the ACS. Our monthly events and updates email will alert you when new materials are available, and you'll stay updated on our data releases. Visit the links under each icon to learn more about these resources. If you're looking for further assistance on how to obtain or understand ACS data, our data dissemination specialists, or DDSs, who are located within your region, can provide you with assistance about Census Bureau data. These specialists usually provide help in English, but sometimes are available in other languages as well, depending on the needs of their communities. Whether conducting one-on-one webinars with business startups or conducting large-scale presentations at universities, these specialists strive to put the public in touch with the data they need. DDSs provide a wide variety of assistance for free. If you're interested in a specific type of training or presentation, please reach out to a specialist in your area using the contact information on the slide. While we continue to wait for calls, I would like to remind you that Embargo subscribers will have access to 2023 ACS one-year statistics beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesday, September 10th. The embargo period will be up at 12:01 a.m. on Thursday, September 12th, and media will be able to share their stories. The full release of data and products will be done by 10 a.m. on Thursday. Qualified members of the media are able to see this data prior to the release date of September 12th. At this time, I'd like to remind those members of the media to please check to make sure your embargo passwords have not expired. In order to access the embargo, please click on census.gov, then go to the newsroom, then news releases, then embargoed releases. After signing in, you'll have access to embargo data in the press kit, including the presentation slides and other products. The press kit link on this page will also take you there once the embargo period begins. We will now take calls. Once your mic is connected, please state your name and your affiliation. And because we want to give everyone an opportunity, we'll allow just one question and one follow-up per caller. Yes, our first caller is from Jocelyn Brousseau. Please wait for your mic to be prompted to unmute, and then once you do, please feel free to proceed with your question. Lisa, can you send another prompt to Jocelyn or unmute?
Yes, I sent another request.
Thank you. Hi, Jocelyn. It looks like you're unmuted. You can proceed. You may need to unmute on your personal device as well. Unfortunately, we're not able to hear your question, so we're going to move forward and I'll come back to you. Our next question is going to come from Rye Craft. Rye, please wait for the prompt to unmute and then you can proceed. Hi, Ryan, you can go ahead.
Sorry about that. Thank you. And I'm wondering governmentally if there's a way to check for Social Security numbers.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
Yes. Is there a way for government to check for Social Security numbers on the website?
Within our data?
Yes.
Thank you for your question. Is there an expert that's available to answer that?
Hi, Jewel. This is Kirby Posey from the Income Surveys Branch. We do collect Social Security income statistics. The data are available in the base tables and in the comparison profiles and the demographic profiles. It shows the number of households that receive Social Security and the aggregate and the mean Social Security income. And I believe that's the only source of income, of Social Security income that we collect on the ACS. If you would like, I can get the table numbers for you. You can get in touch with me through PIO if you would like, and we can chat more. But the demographic profile should have that information.
Thank you for that response, Kirby. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to our next question. The next one is coming from Nick Manone. Please wait for the prompt to be unmuted and then, oh, there you go.
Just, are you guys planning to release the one-year estimates in summary file format as well as through the Census Explorer and other methods?
Thank you for that question. Is there an expert that's available to answer?
Sure, this is Gretchen Gooding from the American Community Survey Office. And yes, the summary file data will be out next Thursday, September 12th.
Thank you for that, Gretchen. Does that answer your question? Oh, it looks like you went back on mute. All right, we'll keep moving right along. The next question, we're going to try to double back to Jocelyn Brousseau. Jocelyn, please wait for the prompt to unmute and then you can proceed. Unfortunately, it sounds like we can't hear you if you are speaking. If you would still like to ask us your question, please feel free to reach out to the Public Information Office, either by email at pio@census.gov, or you can give us a call at 301-763-3030, and we'll be happy to work with you. We'll move on to our next question, which is coming from Jed.
Hey, thanks very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed.
Terrific. I also put this in the Q&A chat, but I wasn't sure if we were only focusing on voice right now. I was curious which data in the 2023 ACS on the foreign-born population and residents 1 year ago are the figures that will be used to help revise the international migration component of the POP estimates for 23 and help support the 24 POP estimates question. So this is a sort of question about the sort of feedback from the ACS back to POP estimates. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. Is there an expert that's available to answer?
Hi, this is Eric Jensen from the Population Estimates Program in the Population Division. So for our estimates of net international migration that go into the broader population estimates, we use data from the ACS, and like you mentioned, we use data on the population whose residents 1 year ago was abroad. So specifically for vintage 2024, we'll use the 2023 1-year ACS that's being released now, and we look at the foreign-born population and the population who is born abroad of U.S. citizen parents, and so we look at those groups. And we look at the population specifically whose residence 1 year ago is abroad, and we use that for our national total. And then we also use ACS 5-year files to develop the characteristics of those populations, because we have to produce estimates for, the nation, states, and counties by full demographic detail, so age, sex, race, and Hispanic origin.
Thank you for that, Eric. Did you have a follow-up question, Jed?
Nope, that was it. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'm not seeing any new questions. So we'll go ahead and wrap up. So thank you all for those. If you think you have any questions following today's webinar, please contact us using the information on this slide. You can also connect with us by subscribing to our email alerts, where we share important information about our data releases, visiting our website at census.gov/ACS. If any members of the media have additional questions about the embargo or wish to arrange interviews during the embargo period, don't hesitate to call the Census Bureau's Public Information Office at the number or email listed on the screen. Additional information about the American Community Survey and this release can be found in our press kit. And finally, we ask that you please fill out an evaluation form. We want to ensure these sessions are helpful to you. The link to the evaluation will appear once you exit the webinar. And that wraps up today's webinar. Thank you again to everyone who joined us today, and thank you to our presenter, Kayla Poplar. As a reminder, the data we've discussed today will be released to the public at by 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Thursday, September 12th, and the embargo for media will lift at 12:01 a.m. We look forward to next week's release and look forward to your use of our ACS data. I'm Jill Jordan, and thanks again for joining us.
This concludes today's webinar. Thank you for your participation. You may disconnect at this time.